A van plows into worshippers outside a North London mosque in what police are treating as a terror attack. Brexit negotiations start in Brussels. And in France, Macron's party wins a solid majority in National Assembly runoff elections.
Good evening. London has woken up to yet another terror attack. A van plowed into worshippers outside a mosque, leaving at least 8 people injured, 2 of them seriously. One man died at the scene, although it's unclear whether the death was a result of the attack. James Aiken reports.
The vehicle struck people shortly after midnight as they were leaving the Finsbury Park Mosque, one of Britain's largest. Witnesses say the timing of the incident leaves no doubt about the driver's intent.
It's something he done it on purpose. No? They did it on purpose. They done it exactly after the hour of prayer.
He would have had to choose his moment to be able to rev up and to gain that speed to cause such an injury. The van was basically there to carry out that act.
The unidentified driver of the van has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. A man outside the mosque died, but police say it's too early to determine if the death was a direct result of the attack.
The attack unfolded whilst a man was already receiving first aid from public at the scene, and sadly that man has died. It is too early to state if his death was as a result of this attack.
No other suspects have been identified, and investigators have yet to establish a motive for the attack. But Britain's largest Muslim organization says the attack, which came during the holy month of Ramadan, was a deliberate act of Islamophobia. And the head of the mosque criticized authorities for taking several hours to formally declare the incident a terror attack.
It was treated immediately as a suspected terrorist attack. We must allow the police to deal with the facts, and they will make sure that they make those facts available as soon as they can.
Prime Minister Theresa May, who was set to chair an emergency meeting, said her thoughts were with those injured from what she calls a terrible incident. James Aiken, TVB News.
Almost a year to the day after Britons shocked themselves and their neighbors by voting to cut ties with their main trading partner, Britain is finally opening negotiations to leave the European Union. But the final outcome in 2019 seems as important as it now seems unpredictable. An early election this month in which the ruling Conservatives lost their majority has only added to the problems. UK negotiator David Davis said today that Britain is going into Brexit negotiations looking for a positive and constructive tone to deal with the issues dividing both sides. The EU's negotiating team has been ready for months, but Austria's foreign minister says if we don't succeed, both sides will lose.
London police say that 79 people are now believed to have died in the high-rise apartment building fire last Wednesday. Police say the new figure includes both people who were confirmed dead and others who are missing and presumed dead. The previous estimate was 58. The new total may change as a search and recovery operation continues. Britain held a moment of silence for the victims today, with emergency service workers bowing their heads in respect. Authorities are continuing to investigate whether any crimes were committed in the inferno. 2 British officials said yesterday that new exterior cladding used in a renovation of Grenfell Tower may have been banned under UK regulations. Local conglomerate Wing-On has played down fire safety concerns at its retail and office building in Sheung-Wan. This follows revelations the same type of cladding blamed for rapid spread of the fire that engulfed London's Grenfell Tower was also used in Wing-On Centre. Adam Shu has the story.
Local media reports revealed over the weekend that the cladding used to insulate Grenfell Tower in London was also used on the exterior walls of Wing-On Centre, a 29-story commercial block in Sheung-Wan. In both cases, It involves the same type of aluminum panel of the US brand Reynolds-Bond. The Reynolds-Bond PE panel uses inflammable polyethylene for its cladding, as opposed to its sister product FR, which means fire resistant. The former has been banned or partially banned in Western countries. According to Hong Kong's building construction regulations, a building's cladding shall be constructed entirely of non-combustible materials. Wing On Company International, which owns Wing On Center, admitted today that in a renovation of the tower's external wall in 1995, it appears that some of the cladding material is the same as that reportedly used on Grenfell Tower. But it added that the construction methods were materially different and Wing On Center is likely to have a much lower fire risk as a result. Surveyor Raymond Chan said in Wing On Center's case, glass windows that separate the vertical panel on each floor makes it harder for a fire on one level to spread across the whole building, though flames, if hot enough, may still penetrate the glass. Chan added that this type of panel is not commonly used in local buildings. Meanwhile, Wing On insists it runs regular checks and drills to make sure fire hazards in the building remain low, and is promised to consult professionals on the safety of the cladding material. It added that even replacing the cladding would unlikely put huge financial pressure on the company. Adam Xu, TVB News.
Over to France, where President Emmanuel Macron's party swept a victory in Sunday's parliamentary election. This had the Socialist Party leader quitting in humiliation. Macron's centrist Republic on the Move party broke out in applause at the sight of their commanding majority. The party and its center-right Modem ally won 350 seats out of 577 in the lower house of parliament. President Macron wanted to change politics as usual in France, and now he'll get his wish with the party's new faces, a farmer, a teacher, and a math genius. The party's interim president vowed the diverse experience of these new men and women will vote to unblock obstacles in the economy, free up energies, and create new solidarity. France's prime minister followed that up by saying voters have chosen hope over anger.
Vous avez donné une majorité franche.
Edouard Philippe reiterated his total determination to work on major reforms in the coming months. With 75% of the votes counted, Macron's party won 42% of the vote. The conservative Republicans came in second with 22% of the vote. They'll form the largest opposition bloc in parliament with 131 seats.
Malgré notre élimination au premier tour de l'élection présidentielle.
Their leader, François Bayrou, told supporters not to worry. The Conservatives will have a strong enough bloc in parliament to fight for their concerns. The far-right National Front won 8 seats, and one went to their leader, Marine Le Pen.
M'ont-élu à près de 58%.
Le Pen pointed out that Sunday's vote was a record-low turnout. She bashed the legitimacy of the new National Assembly, stressing it sets Macron's presidency on a bad start. Le Pen's nemesis, ultra-left leader Jean-Luc Mélenchon, also won a parliamentary seat and vowed to maintain France's labor laws. The Socialists, who before Macron ran the government, won only 6% of the vote. After securing only 44 seats, their leader quit in humiliation.
Le triomphe d'Emmanuel Macron est incontestable.
Jean-Christophe Cambadelis admitted the party has officially collapsed and needs rebuilding from the top down.
More than 1,500 firefighters in Portugal are still battling to control major wildfires in the central region of the country. One of the blazes has killed 62 people. Portugal is observing 3 days of national mourning. Scorching weather, parched woodlands, and strong winds are fueling the blazes. Reinforcements are heading to the region, including more water-dropping planes from Spain, France, and Italy. The deaths and devastation has sparked growing criticism of authorities for not doing more to prevent the tragedy. Emergency services have been criticized for not closing a road where 47 of the deaths occurred as people fled the flames Saturday night. The government has acknowledged the huge fires have led to some breakdowns in communications.
A lawyer representing the U.S. president insists Donald Trump is not under investigation for obstruction of justice in the Russia probe. This after Trump confused the media when he tweeted he is being investigated for firing FBI Director James Comey.
The president is not under investigation by the special counsel. The tweet from the president was in response to the 5 anonymous sources that were purportedly leaking information to the Washington Post about a potential investigation of the president. But the president, as James Comey said in his testimony, and as we know as of today, the president has not been and is not under investigation.
Well, I go back to the tweet. Then why did he say he was? Yeah. I mean, was this he just mistweeted? Are we not to take him at his word?
No, the president's tweet was in response to the Washington Post story.
Out with cheap and in with safety. That from South Korea's new president, who's decided to do away with nuclear energy. President Moon Jae-in made that announcement at a ceremony marking the shutdown of the country's oldest power plant in Busan. In addition to not building new nuclear plants, Moon vows not to extend the life of existing ones either. He also vowed to cut South Korea's reliance on coal. Over in Seoul, the country's new foreign minister was inaugurated. Kang Kyung-hwa stressed the importance of overcoming the North Korean nuclear issue. She also vowed to strengthen relations with China, Japan, and Russia.
Still to come tonight in our broadcast, an 11-year-old boy meets the press after receiving a heart transplant last week. A fire in a Cheongsa-won building leaves a resident injured. And Manchester United reportedly preparing to reacquire Cristiano Ronaldo from Real Madrid. Welcome back. An 11-year-old boy who finally got a heart transplant after waiting a year says he's happy and thankful towards the donor's family. Winna Wong reports.
A week after his life-changing surgery, 11-year-old Tang Kai-him met the press this morning. I am happy, thank you, he said. Tang is the youngest person in the Asia-Pacific region to use a BiVAD, a machine that helps both the left and right ventricles of the heart in blood circulation. Another Asia-Pacific record he broke is the amount of time he used the BiVAD, over 40 weeks. The child began suffering from heart failure in December 2014, when he was just 8 years old. He was treated in a hospital in Guangzhou at first, but as his situation worsened, he was transferred to Queen Mary Hospital and placed top of the transplant list in May 2016. Because of the city's low organ donation rate, he had to wait over 280 days before he was able to undergo surgery, thanks to the family of a teenage donor. During this time, the boy had to go through a number of major surgeries, including replacing 15 heart pumps, a brain surgery, and an endoscopic procedure for stomach bleeding. The child's mother described each procedure as a battle with death, and she never knew whether he would make it each time. She also thanked the donor's family for their selflessness. Tang is currently taking anti-rejection drugs. Doctors say he will be able to leave the hospital in about 2 to 3 weeks. Local medical workers are once again calling on people to become organ donors. According to Dr. Lun Kin-sheng of Queen Mary's Pediatric Cardiology Department, requirements for a suitable heart donor are very strict. Apart from the right blood type, the donor also needs to be similar in height and weight as the receiver. He said it is lucky that Tang is over 50 kilograms in weight, which makes him suitable to receive from teenagers and even some adults. Winna Wong, TVB News.
A man was injured in a suspicious fire in Cheongsa-won this afternoon. The fire broke out at around 2:30 p.m. on an upper floor in a building on Winglung Street. Firefighters used 2 jets to combat the blaze and rescued 3 people from the building. One of the residents suffered minor burns and was taken to hospital for treatment. The fire was put out in about a half an hour. Firefighters said the unit where the fire started was left vacant. They suspect foul play after detecting a fire accelerant at the scene. Police will now conduct further investigations.
Beijing's top official in Hong Kong says the implementation of the one country, two systems principle has been an enormous success. The head of the central government's liaison office in Hong Kong was interviewed by mainland media. Zheng Xiaoming said the central government is effectively governing the SAR. He also said Hong Kong people enjoy unprecedented rights. However, Zheng said an overly politicized society has hindered the development of Hong Kong. He also slammed those who promote independence, saying they have posed serious threats to the nation's safety.
For some in the city, July 1st is a day to take to the streets, not to celebrate Hong Kong's return to Chinese rule, but rather to protest. Adam Shu takes a look at the annual rally that focuses on social and political issues, even as participant numbers continue to drop.
The July 1st rally has its roots in this march organized by the Hong Kong Alliance in support of patriotic democratic movements of China. Roughly 4,000 people attended back in 1997, the day Hong Kong was returned to Chinese rule. They called for an end to one-party rule, but the themes evolved. The annual rally gained momentum in 2003, triggered by a highly controversial proposal to legislate national security laws in the city. Organizers said more than 500,000 people took part. The figures slipped in the following years. Participation fell drastically in 2005 to around 20,000 by organizer and police estimates. But it peaked again in 2014, the same year as the pro-democracy Occupy movement. Pan-Democrat Lee Cheuk-yan always remained at the front line. He repeatedly called for universal suffrage and demanded that leaders deemed incompetent resign. People may have come to feel helpless in recent years because even after occupying streets for 79 days, they still couldn't get to choose their leader, he said.
Fundamentally, it's about our relationship with China, and it's about our will, our evaluation about the state autonomy of Hong Kong. And by and large, we are not happy. We are worried about the further encroachment from Beijing. Some people will see that as an infringement or the violations of the promise of one country, two systems.
But has the public outcry from the annual rally fallen on deaf ears?
If they pay no attention to this number, if they pay no attention to this mass protest, I suspect that on July 1st this year, it will still be C.Y. Leung swearing into the new administration. So I think the impact is subtle, it's long-term, it's cumulative, and it is definitely not useless.
It's largely believed that President Xi Jinping will be in town to attend the July 1st celebrations. While it's not known if his visit will trigger more people to protest and make their voices heard by the top leader, one thing is for sure. For the first time in more than a decade, the rally now has to start at the lawn instead of the soccer pitches at Victoria Park. The pitches are now reserved for celebratory events. Adam Xu, TVB News.
All right, Chris, I see you have some sports for us today. Some
I do.
Golf.
It's golf.
Yes.
Ever golfed?
No, I haven't.
Okay, just checking. American golfer Brooks Koepka shot a 567 on the final day of the U.S. Open to win his first major. Jeff Tang has a look.
Despite the win.
And that's going to do it for us in the newsroom.
Good night.